Why did God not speak 400 years? The intertestamental period for nearly 400 years. The heavens seemed silent, the voice of the prophets had faded into memory, and the final words of the prophet Malachi lingered like an echo across the hills of ancient Judea. Generation were born, generation passed away without hearing a new prophetic messages from God. To many, it felt as thought a great curtain had fallen between heaven and earth. The sacred scroll remained, the temple still stood. Prayer continued to rise like incense into the sky, and no new prophet emerged from the wilderness. No divine voice thundered from the mountains, and no fresh revelation was recorded. It was a silence so deep that it has puzzled believers for centuries. Why would God speak through prophets but suddenly become silent? As the year unfolded, powerful empires swept across the world like restless waves. The mighty Persian Empire gave way to the armies of Alexander the Great, whose conquests stretched further than anyone had imagined. Greek language, culture, and philosophy spread across land. Once shaped by ancient Hebrew tradition, cities changed, rulers changed, and entire ways of life transformed before the eyes of God. Uh, People, and through every political upheaval, through every battle and shifting kingdom, heaven remained quiet. Many faithful men and women searched the scripture, wondering if they had been forgotten. Others waited patiently, believing that even silence could be part of a greater plan hidden beyond human understanding. But what if those 400 years were not empty at all? What if the silence itself was preparing the world for something greater than any prophet had ever announced beneath the surface of history? Unseen threads were slowly being woven together. Roads were being built, language was spreading, kingdoms were used, rising and falling, all moving towards a moment that would change the course of eternity. And as we continue this journey into one of the Bible's greatest mysteries, consider subscribing to the Bible Chronicle for more deep explorating into forgotten chapters of sacred history, because in the next part we will uncover what was truly happening behind the silence and the God's apparent absent may have been she. His most astonishing preparation of all, the silence of those centuries was not the stillness of abandonment. It was the quiet movement of preparation. Will no prophet stood before the people declaring, thus say the landlord. History itself was being arranged with remarkable precision. After the death of Alexander the Great, his vast empire fractured into competing kingdoms, and the land of Judea found itself caught between the powerful rulers from the north and the south. Armies marched across the region, boards shifted, and foreign influence seeped into daily life. And through all the uncertainty, a common Greek language spread throughout much of the known world. What seemed like the work of ambitious kings would eventually serve a far greater purpose, creating a way for future messages to travel further and faster than ever before. As generation passed, another important transformation quietly unfolded. Jewish communities began to appear far beyond the borders of their Homeland families settle in distant cities carrying with them the scripture, their traditions, and their hope and God's promises in places such as Egypt and throughout the Mediterranean world that sacred Hebrew writings were translated into Greek, allowing countless people who could not read Hebrew to encounter the words of Moses and the prophet, the promises given century earlier was slowly reaching New Year's. Though many could not see it, the seed uh, of something extraordinary were being planted across nation. The silence of heaven concealed a state preparation that stretched across continents. And these years were not peaceful for God's people. New rulers shout to reshape their identity, and some attempted to erase their faith altogether. The temple itself would face discretion and faithful beliefs would be forced to choose between comfort and conviction in the darkness of oppression. Courage emerged from unaccepted places. Men and women unaccepted places risked everything to preserve the worship of the one true God. Their struggle would leave a lasting mark upon Jewish history and would help prepare a people longing for deliverance, but one ruler in particular would ignite a crisis so sharp that many believed the end had come, and in the next part we will enter that turbulent chapter and uncover the shocking events that nearly extinguished the faith of an entire nation.